had back-to-back in Pac-12, and they looked happy.
Yes.
So what was that feeling in the locker room?
You know, when we went in the locker room, I think, it's so long ago now. It's one of those things you enjoy the wins as they come, and then you kind of let them go because you have more to do afterwards. And so it was a matter of being excited that the things we've been working on, working to our advantage, if you will. So I remember going over, we did this, we did that, and a couple goals that secretly I had for us. We were able to achieve that piece, and then just kind of went across the board and just noted like Sophia's stellar hitting, and the fact that she got to kill off her hit was absolutely amazing. But that they stayed calm the entire time. It was a true team effort. At one point, I remember going to the bench, going, "Okay, I need you guys to be a little bit louder and more." I think it was in the second set. And they already do so much, but to go to them and ask again, and they go, "Okay, we got you," type thing. So that part felt good, and being able to recognize them in a locker room, because it sucks being on the bench all the time.
I apologize if you maybe talked about this last week, but the number 7 recruiting class, just what does that mean for you to be able to have a class like that coming off maybe your down first season with the prospect of quickly turning this program around?
It's a good stepping stone. It's nice to see that despite what our record is, that we're able to go out and recruit some kids that want to come in here and play and try to put us in the right direction. I think that if this entire group came back, we would have a totally different look going into the season. Like if we were to start now, which has been our goal, is to play this last 4 weeks, was to treat it like preseason, to see what we're capable of doing so that you can walk away feeling good. And that was one of the things that we said too. We're 2-0, baby. So.
Tell us about the number 1 recruit, Carlie.
Carlie Cisneros, phenomenal player. She's not the type of player that's gonna you go, "Wow, look how high she jumps," or how quick she is. She's one of those players that just quietly does her job, but she's a great competitor. I remember one of the things that sold me on her when we were recruiting her back last year was that she went up and she got blocked. And she didn't flinch, didn't look contrary, what have you, went up the next ball, scored, and looked the same. So the fact that she is more flatline, which I think is very needed on a team like that we have. We don't need anyone that's going to be super high, or definitely don't want super low, but players that are just confident in what they do and they're comfortable. So Carlie comes in with that. She's been a 6 rotation player forever. She knows the value in passing and just being able to be in serve, receive, and go after it. So she's a phenomenal player, and it's kind of funny when we're out watching and recruiting and whatnot, several people go, "Okay, that kid can really pass." And and that's not a knock against Jalen nor Sophia, but neither one of them were truly 6 rotation players when they first came in. They had to work hard at it.
And that was something obviously Dave tried to develop. He constantly talked about trying to develop that 6 rotation player. Is that something then that you really have to go out and try to recruit from the start versus trying to develop once that a player like maybe Sophia and Jalen, who we tried to remake into that, gets here?
Well, it's one of those things, everyone wants a 6 rotation player. I don't care how good or low your team is. You want that player because it's a skill that takes a lot of repetition to be able to do. And the problem, if you will, is that in the Pac-12, you had to have someone that still had size and athleticism. So, there's a ton of 6 rotation kids out there. Don't get me wrong, there's a ton. But are they physically good enough to come in and make a difference, or be able to hold their own at the net, or be able to score, or not be the person that's getting every ball attacked at them? And so you have to kind of pick your poison a little bit. And for Dave, it was about having the size, the athleticism, and the aptitude for learning and knowing and understanding to how to play that position. And it takes time because, if you were just to have kept Sophia front row or Jalen front row the entire time, their attacking numbers would have been way better from beginning to end, because that's the only thing they focus on. But once you learn and have to start going all the way around, serve, pass, play defense, and then think about how your time is divided up in practice as well. And that's the reason why in the setting position, you want a setter that has played their entire time, because just setting in the front row or just setting in the back row changes the dynamics. And it's those 2 positions.
Is that a selling point, do you think, when you're looking to try to convince maybe Sophia for that 5th year? I mean, do you sell, hey, this is what we've got coming in here? this is what potentially we can do next year?
Yes, we've talked about it in the beginning, but trying not to put pressure on her to make that decision, because at the end of the day, she'll have the opportunity to go play professional. And it's just a matter of how fast she wants that opportunity to take place. Her getting her education is super important to her and to her family. So I know she's going to finish it, but it's a lot easier to finish it while you're still here than to go away and, kind of, oh, I'll do this tomorrow or I'll do this tomorrow, just that accountability piece. But I think that it looks appealing to her, knowing that you have the bodies coming in here able to do what is necessary to be done, and then seeing the growth. For me, I thought part of it, the selling point for her would be how well we develop and how well we grow, because no one wants to come back to a team at the end of the day that's going to still be the same team that they were before if they weren't doing well.
The jump for that 5th year, I mean, like, Ziona had a huge jump that 5th year. What do you think the difference is that?
Every day is a new day when you're a freshman. You have no idea what's coming, and you're afraid, and you're like tentative, and then, your sophomore year, if you buy into the sophomore slump, and then, or if you've actually gotten on the floor, that's part of it as well, So any kid that has played from day one and then come back for a 5th year, that's huge. That's the value in redshirting. And I think with women, we tend to develop a lot faster and more, and you notice it more at the latter part of our career, You look at Washington State, that team is full of 5th-year players. They're a veteran group. You don't you don't shake them. They just been there, done that. And so it's just comfort. You don't let the little things worry you. And, Sophia's been that kind of way of a player all along. So I think it just plays more into her where she knows I don't have to worry about errors, or Jalen, whomever the person is that has the potential to do that. It's just comfort. And knowing it every day, I know I'm going to eat here. I know this is what practice is going to look like. I know this is what this road trip. Now, the difference is we're going into a whole new conference. So I'm hoping that becomes appealing. It's like, okay, I get to go see what I can shake up and, do in the Big 12 versus what I did in the Pac-12. And I know that there is an initiative, and I'm probably going to quote this incorrectly, but the Big 12 commissioner, they're launching a site in Mexico. And so I was like, Sophia, they're going to be looking for athletes that are from Mexico that, that becomes appealing and that plug and whatnot. So just trying every angle we can use.
And Sophia said Tess is practicing?
She was cleared today. So we won't use her this year. I wouldn't, take her out of her redshirt year. But the nice thing is that she'll be able to practice here on out for the next 2 weeks and then be ready to go right away in January.
What did you see from Tess when she's being recruited, and what do you hope for?
Tess is a kid from New Mexico, so not necessarily the best volleyball, but to win Gatorade Player of the Year 2 years in a row, that says a lot. But she's a competitor. She's the type of kid that you won't shake. She has the ability to pass. She's a 6th rotation kid. And it's just now a matter of getting her legs back under her. It's kind of funny, she said, she did an individual Tuesday, I think it was, or Monday, whatever day it was. But she did it individual, and she's like, okay, you would think running 5 miles a day would put me in shape. I'm so out of shape. And the only thing she was doing at the time was passing. But she's the type of player that would annoy you. So I describe her as a coach's dream, a teammate nightmare, because she's so accountable. She has a little military background, and yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and, she's just on it, which isn't necessarily the best for teammates because she's going to hold you accountable. But as a coach, you're like, okay, I got this kid I know that is going to be able to take it and be able to fight and compete.
Is that something you had in, like, Devon, and were they like that?
No.
No?
No. Devin and Liz were different in their own right. And because they were in the middle, I think Liz had it, but, the constant things, whatever she had going on that didn't allow her to develop quite the way we had projected for her. But for Devin, you didn't bother. Many things didn't bother her. So that part was nice.
I talked to Dave last week, and he shared a story about his first year here, and he was trying to bring the players together. And he said you came to him and said, Dave, don't ask me to talk to any of these girls because I don't like any of them. What was that like for you to be on a team where, not to say you didn't like all your teammates, but clearly there were a lot of them that you did not like?
I was a nightmare, and I can say that, and I've apologized to Dave a million times for it. I've apologized to my teammates, but I came from a place of brokenness, so I didn't know how to articulate what was going on. I just was like, just let me do my job, leave me alone, and if I'm not doing my job, hold me accountable. But I don't want to talk to anyone. Dave, I don't even want to talk to you, you know. And so we would go at it back and forth, and then one day he had me tell him my story. And then he was like, Rita, people will believe you and be on your side, and it'll become easier once you tell your story. I was like, I'm from Cleveland. I ain't telling my story to nobody. My story is my story, because you don't want to tell the story and have anyone feel sorry for you. I don't feel sorry for my life. I'm grateful. But as a result of that, I was hard on my teammates when I didn't have to be, or I thought I was better than everyone else, and I was bad, mind you. But I was just athletic, and I knew how to grind. And I have a teammate, there's 3 of us that still talk to this day, and one of them, we really brought it all up again a couple weeks ago. And she was like, I can't believe how broken we were as a team. But one thing we had all in common was we were competitors. Now, we were sometimes making our teammates cry, which wasn't good, but we made them a little bit tougher for the opponents. I know, I'm watching your face. You're like, really? Yeah, one day I'll tell you the story. But I'm grateful for it, because I think I'm a better person after going through it and understanding what it's like to be a hard teammate, but have a heart that you just didn't know how to share. And so, but Dave told us also that, you know, we were bad. We were mean to him too. I don't know if he told you that part. Okay, at least I was mean to him. But he was like, you guys, we're going to beat the Stanfords of the world. We're going to beat the UCLAs of the world. We're like, man, shut up. We ain't beating these kids. We're awful. Stanford flew in the day of to play us, just to give you an idea how bad we were then. And, you know, and he started allowing us to be who we were versus trying to change us. And as a result of that, we were able to come together. So we would literally fight on the court with one another, bickering back and forth, and then block the opponents and celebrate, and then go back, I still don't like you. You know, I mean, that's how dysfunctional it was. But he, as time went on, we started believing what he was saying and just doing what he said, because we wanted to win. If you want to win, do this. And so one of the things that he did was take us out of our buns. So we were still wearing buns. And let me just tell you, you had to wear those things. You would not be a happy camper. So we started wearing spandex. And so that's how we first started believing in Dave. Or at least I did, because I didn't want to wear those panties. They were awful. Awful.
Your seniors, Joy, Jalen, and Sophia, what have they meant to you in this program?
You know, each one has been different in what they bring to the table. Joy, just by nature, is a person that is talkative, bubbly, upbeat, and will always ask questions. So she was probably the first one I talked to the most. And she wasn't on the starting side, so she was near me a lot, and she would ask questions, and I would kind of, you know, talk her through it or whatnot. And I think that's because Joy and I had a previous relationship before I took over as a head coach, it made it easier for her to digest sometimes when I was hard on her, whereas other players would have crumbled like a deck of cards, not on purpose, but let's be honest, it happens. But because we had a relationship, she knew that where I was speaking to her was from a place of love, not a place of, I don't like you or I don't think you're good enough. Even though at times I think she thinks it, she knows it's not true, but that's just who she is. And Jalen wouldn't talk to anybody when she first came, so it was just really interesting. During COVID, she would be on a Zoom with a blanket on, balled up. And it was like, is this girl ever going to talk or be engaged? And, you know, as time went on, she started opening up and, you know, talked about her diet. That was how I actually got in with her, in my opinion, because she used to eat really different. But just the fact that that's a local kid that believed in Arizona, that says a lot. Greg Whitus was the source behind her coming, I believe, and whether she'll say that or he'll admit it. And every now and again, you'll kind of look and see players that are, okay, they're here because this was the first connection and relationship. And then, you know, we had a great interaction last year during the match. I can't fully share it, but I think that's when I got Jalen, because she had a need and I told her how we would handle that, and it came to pass. So I think that was huge. And then Sophia, I sing to Sophia just to give you an idea. She just laughs at me the entire time. I can't sing. But she would always laugh and giggle, and the first year it was hard for her to understand English, and I would just try to say something funny to her all the time, and we had little interactions. But that was Dave's heart. He loved Sophia. He'd come and practice every day. Hola, and she just giggled like, okay, is he ever going to say anything else? So just because they were three different individuals, three different interactions, relationships that I've had with them, I would do anything to keep all three, because of what they are capable of in a connection and a relationship. But every relationship at some point has to change and end. But nonetheless, it's going to be a different world without them, because Sophia, just cool, calm, and collected. Nothing rattles her. And she sees the game at a level that others don't see. And the average eye goes, okay, why'd she do that? But she knows exactly why she does everything she does. And, that's refreshing.
And getting the 2 wins, obviously huge for your team. Try to finish the season on a good note. Is that important for you to try to keep that momentum going into the off season and try to stay on that good note?
Absolutely. And it's win or lose. That has never been our goal. We haven't talked about that all year long, and maybe we should have. I don't know. But just being able to stick together as a team and being able to know that you're fighting and I'm fighting and that we're on the same page. We have this box in our locker room. It was Elena Johnson's idea, and it is a suggestion box. And, her and her mom decorated it, which, in the past we would have never had this, or it would have been blown up with bad stuff. It's probably why we would never have had it. But today I walked in and there was probably 6, 7 things, and I was able to address them right away. And not to say I was able to meet all of their needs, but we were able to have a discussion. So when I go back to that first year being rough, it's because you don't know. You don't know that you can ask this question. And just to give you an idea, one of the suggestions was salt and pepper in the locker room. And that wasn't this time, but in the past, that was one of the suggestions. And the fact that it was immediately answered, I think, is why we've stuck together as a group. I don't think they all get along all the time, and that's okay. I don't think you need to, but I think you need to always work together. It's kind of like that distant cousin. I love you, but I don't need to be around you. But when you come around for the reunion, we'll hang out, but then go back to your little corner over there. I think that as the season goes on, and typically in the past, because I've been on a losing team and I've coached several losing teams, unfortunately, I understand how hard it is. And this is a very unique and special group that they've stuck together the entire time.
From your perspective, outside perspective, why do you think ASU was able to turn it around so quickly with a new coach?
They've always had the right pieces. I think that they have couple grad students on there, in 2 critical positions, the setter and the opposite. And that's not to take anything away from the other players, but they were always competitors. Sometimes it takes a different eye, a different voice to be able to get out of them what was already inside of them. And they run with the same group, they just fight. I mean, I understand fighting. And they compete, and they had an edge on their chip on their shoulder. And, JJ is a knowledgeable coach. He understands what goes on, and he does things his way. And I know he's wondering, what is it going to look like after I don't have all the kids that were already there? So I'm sure he's out there working magic right now.
How important is it to have those 5th years, especially, Shannon and
If you take a look across the country at teams, everyone has a grad kid that is carrying the load, that's doing a lot. You look at Penn State, that setter that used to be at Ohio State is out there, and she's ruling the world. At Wisconsin, they have grad players and, transfers and whatnot. So it's just the experience. I mean, think about it. How much smarter were all of us at 23 than we were at 18? 23-year-olds playing against 18. It's a huge difference in growth, and, they know how to travel, which is why the portal is what it is. It's like you don't have to worry about those things. You've already spent a year in college. You know what it's like to sleep in a dorm. You know what it's like to be away from home. You don't have to worry about any of those different things that you have to worry about. And then by the time you're a grad, all you want to do is go in the gym, do your job, and get out, and go to sleep and eat. And now you can.